How's it going, everybody? My name's Warner Fields with Fields of Profit, and today I'm joined by my friend Steve, aka Rakin Profit. He has been selling on Amazon for forever, been reselling for even longer, and he is here today to help us kind of walk through how to start a used book business on Amazon. This is something that I did. This is how I started my Amazon journey. Did a little, right around $100,000 in my first year selling used books, so it's absolutely an extremely viable business model. Great way to start with a little bit of money and build it up into something awesome. So Steve is a little bit of an expert on that as well, so I brought him onto the channel, kind of have a conversation about starting a used book business. If you want to kind of quickly introduce yourself, let us know who you are, kind of how you got into the used book game. We'll kind of roll from there.
Yeah. So what's going on, everybody? My name's Steve, and I've been selling books for over 8 years. You know, I hated working at my job. I was working at the Cracker Barrel and I was going to school. And long story short, I always loved having my own business, my own freedom. I want to make my own decisions. I've always been really creative with ideas. And I learned about flipping bikes on Craigslist, moved on to selling clothing on eBay. And then when I discovered Amazon FBA and selling books, I fell in love because it's so much easier to make money and it's a lot less work through the FBA program. So I sell books on Amazon FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. And funny enough, I even taught my mom how to do this because it was probably 2014, 2013. She saw me going to the thrift stores all the time and she used to always follow me there. And she'd just be looking for glassware and little knickknacks for the house. And finally she's like, that's so cool. Literally, you're scanning barcodes with your phone. Like, she's like, how do you do that? And you probably can't see it very well. This is actually a book that I picked up from Savers a while ago. I don't know if it's very profitable, but yeah, we just use the Amazon seller app to scan the barcodes of books. We go to thrift stores, library sales. We post wanted ads on Facebook Marketplace, Nextdoor. We've got relationships with people at flea markets, other resellers, building relationships with real estate companies, clean out companies, all different types of ways. But yeah, we just go, we scan the books, we buy them, put them in a box, we ship them to Amazon, and every day we wake up and we see the sales coming in. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a great way to start. I know I did that back in the day. It's an awesome way to learn Amazon. A lot of people I know want to start an Amazon business, but they don't have a bajillion dollars to get started. So selling used books is a great way to start. So for that guy who wants to go out there, that guy or girl who wants to go out there, start finding books to resell. Kind of what should they be looking for and where should they go to find those books?
Yeah, so I would say the types of books you should be looking for are nonfiction books. Of course, textbooks is number one. Right now, there's been a lot of restrictions on Amazon with a bunch of products. Fortunately for booksellers, a lot of items aren't restricted, but certain textbooks are, like certain Pearson books and certain Wiley books are going to be restricted. But the good thing is all you do is you scan the barcode and it'll tell you if you could sell it or not. You'll be able to sell 90% of the books. Anything obscure, out of the ordinary, anything that's really niched down, like some type of specialty book about like how to shoot a crossbow or how to take care of a horse, or, you know, like the aquarium, like setting up an aquarium, like weird, obscure, unique books sell best. I love religious books. I love vintage cookbooks. There are even some fiction books that can make you money if you put together like a box set, like Harry Potter. If you put all the Harry Potters together, I mean, that used to go for 100. I'm sure the price has come down, but one of the biggest lessons that I learned is don't buy what you think is profitable. Let the app do the work for you. So I want to give you guys a couple tips. Number one, start with Scout IQ. Scout IQ is an amazing app that will literally allow you to, I was looking for my headphones. You can put headphones in your ear and then you could scan the books with a barcode scanner. So literally I could turn this on. You probably could see the laser a little bit and boom, you just scan. You could scan 500 to 1,000 books per hour with this. If you're using your phone in the Amazon seller app, cut that down like 60 to 70%. So the best tip I could give you, get a Bluetooth scanner. This is a Natamu. There's a bunch of them out there. Get Scout IQ, which is going to tell you how much the book's selling for, how much profit, how fast it's going to sell, and then just scan all the books at the thrift store, buy all the winners, and it's really that easy. Now, sometimes you're going to come across some issues with a lot of competition at your thrift store, or you're not going to find a lot of books. In that situation, I would start to utilize some of the other sources I mentioned. Facebook Marketplace is great. You can even buy off of eBay and flip on Amazon. Library sales. There's a website I use called booksalefinder.com to find all your local book sales, and the competition will be brutal there, but
it's fun. It's getting into the jungle. Going to book sales. I remember I did that back in the day. I took my sister, who was like 13 or 14 at the time. We went crazy scanning books. We ended up making like $2,000 in profit by the end of the day. Very, very lucrative to go to book sales. That's a really good one.
Yeah. So there's a lot of opportunity out there. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of your channel as well. And people always ask, well, why start with books? Why would I start with books? Is it the best model? Are you going to make the most money? I mean, for some people, selling books is one of the best ways. I mean, for my mom, who's 67 years old, she doesn't want to be doing online arbitrage and credit card hacking and going through Rakuten and,
Mama Profit doesn't want to be running up 100K Amex balances.
She wants to hang out and have fun and watch Lifetime for Women and, buy some books and list a few books on Inventory Lab, Exceller List or whatever. She just wants to make enough money to be able to support her small income and Social Security and whatnot. She just wants to enjoy herself, have a little bit of a hobby. So, for someone like my mom at 67, she's doing $3,000 to $5,000 a month. Now, profits around $1,000 to $2,000.
That's a lot. Like adding into that, the Social Security and all that kind of stuff. You have a little project, get by, like that's plenty,
And she loves it. And, her and I, we go on little trips. We call them little thrifting trips. I live in Connecticut and we go out to Rhode Island a couple times a year and we go thrifting and we use our profits to pay for the hotels and we thrift all day and then go out to dinner. So it's just a really fun side hustle and we love it.
Yeah, for sure. So, we talked about a lot of different ways to source books. When you're actually looking at that data, I know a lot of people are confused. What are you usually looking at on the Seller app in terms of sales rank, just like a general guideline? Like what do you never go higher than? What kind of prices are you looking for?
Yeah, so there's a couple things I'm looking at. And I would preface that by saying you're only going to get limited data with the Amazon Seller app versus Scout IQ. Scout IQ is going to give you some more interesting metrics, which I'll talk about. But in terms of rank, if you're a brand new bookseller, I would just say a general rule of thumb is to stay under 1 million rank. Now, that's not like really good advice for more of an intermediate seller because I've sold books that are ranked 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. But think of rank as almost a snapshot in time with like a picture of how that book is doing right now. It doesn't give you like a long-term idea of like the history of the book. Whereas if you're using Scout IQ, they have a metric called E-score. So let's just say you scan a book and it's got a 300,000 rank. A 300,000 rank is good. Like I would probably assume it's selling maybe a couple times a week, but what's the history of that book? Like how many times has it sold over a 6-month period? Well, with Scout IQ, if the E-score is 36, that means there's been 36 days with at least one sale of that book over the last 180 days, 6 months. So that gives you a lot more confidence. So I'm looking at the rank. I'm looking at the E-score especially because I'm not really going to be able to look up a Keepa chart, which if you don't know what that is, it's very similar to like a stock market graph that kind of shares with you like how many people are selling, what the price history is, how fast it sells. You don't really have to worry about that now, but I'm looking at the rank. So in general, I would just stay under 1 million if you're brand new. If you're more advanced, you can go up to a couple million if it has an E-score of maybe over 20. I'm also paying attention to the merchant price versus the FBA price. So think of a merchant as like an eBay seller. They store their items at their house, they pick it, they pack it, they ship it. They usually ship late. They usually provide bad service. So people want to pay more to buy from an FBA seller because it's Prime eligible. Amazon ships it and fulfills it. So I want the merchant price and the FBA price to be somewhat close. A big mistake a lot of new booksellers make is they'll buy a book. There's my beeper going off right now. They'll buy a book that is selling for $35 FBA with maybe an 800,000 rank, but then the merchant pricing is starting at $6.
Yeah, see that one all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, you still could get that $35, but the chances of a slow selling book having more and more FBA sellers race down to the bottom is very high. So if you just make sure the merchant price and the FBA price is like within like 20%, that's a good safe rule for a beginner. Of course, when you get more advanced, we can get a little crazier and whatnot. But stay under 1 million rank, keep the merchant to FBA price pretty similar. If you could keep the rank under 500,000, that's really safe. Keep the E-score over 30, that's really safe. And make sure to keep your profit margins, above $5 when you're new, because the biggest mistake people make is they buy a ton of books and they say, selling books isn't profitable. My books sell, but I don't make much money, or my books never sell. It's because they're not paying attention to the E-score and they've got 1,000 books that are like ranked over 1 to 2 million. The E-score is at like 7 or 8. And when it sells, it makes $2 and then there's price wars to the bottom. So I threw a lot on you, but that's
that's a knowledge bomb for the folks watching. So just to kind of summarize, so step one, get a tool like Scout IQ or just use the Amazon Seller app to start. Hit the thrift stores, go out and start scanning a ton of those books on the shelf, use the data, all that kind of analytics we just talked about. We're going crazy. What's the E-score on this video, Steve?
Oh man, it's 150.
Yeah, so you're going to go scan the books, check those analytics like we were just talking about. There's some more detailed videos on my channel if you need to get more into the weeds as well. But after you do that, you just are going to go ahead and ship those books off to Amazon, which really is not a super complicated process. Again, there's detailed videos on that on the channel. But something I really like about that, what are you usually paying per pound for your shipping? I know a lot of new sellers are like, oh, what about shipping?
So cheap. It's like, what is it, like between 30 and 50 cents a pound? Like, I'll tell you right now, I could send out a box and you guys might be able to see behind the I have a whole
Oh
shipment
yeah, you got a pile back there. Yep.
getting ready to go out. But I ship my books in a small size box from like Lowe's or Home Depot. It's a 16 by 16 by 12. So if I fill that up with like 40 pounds, which could be like 15 to 25 books, depending on if they're small or large, it's like $6 or $7.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
do the math.
Yeah. That's something I know a lot of beginners are like, oh, I'm not going to make any money on books. Shipping's too expensive. We were usually getting like 25-cent shipping like all the way across the state. So don't worry about shipping costs, all that kind of stuff. The first time you make a shipment, it's probably going to feel like rocket science. They don't make it easy, but once you figure it out after that, you're like, oh, okay, I see now. I just do that and it'll be pretty easy after that. But yeah, so that's pretty much the whole process. You're just going to get your gear you need, hit the thrift stores, throw it in boxes, ship it off to Amazon. Then you'll be like taking care of your pricing and that kind of stuff. Do you use any tools to monitor like I know repricers are a big one. Do you use any repricers for books?
Yes, I was using Reprice It, which was pretty good for books. I've moved on to a new software called Be Cool, BQOOL, and that's working really well. I really like those settings. I think you're using Be Cool as well, right?
Yep. Well, it worked well for us. I was using Reprice It back in the day, especially with books. You're going to be buying like a lot of different things. It's a little tedious with Be Cool, whereas Reprice It, throw on a rule and they automatically just do it for you. So that's why I was using Reprice It back in the day for books. But yeah, that's the business, right? You're just going to take your money, go through that whole process. You're going to be having some pretty awesome profit margins because you're paying $1 or $2 for these books. When your mom, you and your mom are doing books, what kind of profit margins you guys usually running at?
I mean, they could be anywhere from 100 to 500%. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Obviously, at the end of the day, your net profit's going to be lower after fees. Because, the thing about selling books on Amazon, like usually businesses, like what's their biggest expense? It's like the cost of goods. That's like the cheapest when it comes to selling books. The highest expense is, selling on Amazon FBA, just in general, the fees and whatnot. But who cares? Like people always say, like, why am I going to sell a book on Amazon if they're going to take 30, 40% at the end of the day? And it's like, you're not going to turn a $1 or $2 book into an $8 profit, $9 profit. For my mom and I to buy a book, ship it out. Like if you average it out, it like only takes a couple of minutes each. Like the most time consuming is finding the books. That's why I've moved into ordering pallets of books. You could source online. There's so many different ways. I'm not going to get into the weeds, but if anyone wants to learn more, you could definitely check out my channel. I know you have more free videos and different contents about that. So there's so many books out there.
Yeah, there's a million different ways to do it. I think that's a really good kind of beginner breakdown for how to get started, kind of your first steps if you want to go start a used book business. And yeah, if you want to go get into the weeds and learn kind of those extra nuggets Steve's talking about, where can they go watch more info about selling books?
Yeah, so you can literally just go to my YouTube channel. If you actually type in Rake and Profit selling books, I have a 5-hour video. I took one of my subscribers,
I saw that one actually. Yeah.
Brought him to my house and walked him through everything step by step by step. So from finding stuff to listing to sourcing. So hey, if you got yourself a little night to hang out and you want to learn a new skill, check it out.
Yeah, go watch a movie with Rake and Profit. Learn how to start a business tonight.
The first movie that'll make you money, baby.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. Yeah, so make sure to go check out Steve on YouTube. Go subscribe to his channels, Instagram, all that good stuff. Any last words for the people as they kind of go out and start their new businesses?
Yeah, just go out there, take action. And if you come across a book without a barcode, don't avoid it. The Amazon Seller app will scan the cover, or you can just type in the name or the ISBN number. A lot of resellers will pass that up, and that's a great way to make money as a beginner, because even a lot of advanced sellers, they're just too lazy to do it. So keep on picking and making that money and go get it.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good nugget here at the end. Appreciate you being on the channel, Steve. Always a pleasure. If you guys go subscribe, hit the like button, all that kind of stuff helps me out with the algorithm. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to drop those down below as well. But I really appreciate you guys watching. I will see you next time.
Peace.